Hi, I'm Trixi Simons from Sew a Softie. Now, Sew a Softie is an initiative to inspire adults all over the world to sew with their kids. And I've designed a range of softies, which I call Zenkies, to make sewing with your kids fun, easy and creative. Now, here's one of my Zenkies. Here's another one of my Zenkies. And these guys all have one thing in common to make sewing really easy. They all just have a running stitch around their torso. I hope you enjoy my tutorial today. My project for the Halloween sewing marathon is Millicent. Millicent is a very sweet little monster that you can sew with your kids, and if you're looking for the template or the materials list, it will be in the comments below. Once you've downloaded your templates, which are going to look like this, you're going to copy, trace and cut out your templates from felt. Now, if you can see here, there's two pieces for the front of Millicent's body, but if you want to make it into one piece, that's great too. As you can see here, I've got Millicent's pieces all cut out, plus two little round eyes. Now, I've used this little contraption here called a hollow punch to cut out her eyes. They're from automotive stores, and all you do is basically put your felt on a piece of wood, bang it, and you get all these, oops, I've lost the circle. You get all these nice little circles cut out from felt. Now, if you want, there's a whole tutorial on my YouTube channel showing you how these hollow punch works. Okay, so now we've got the front of Millicent's body. As you can see, we've cut it down to two pieces, so we're going to sew it together. And to do this, I'm just going to flick the two pieces over. You can either pin or sewing clip them together. I'm just going to use my little sewing clips there and here. And now I'm going to use an overstitch to sew the two pieces together. Now, when I'm sewing with kids, I usually always double my thread and tie it in a knot. And the reason I do that is so that the thread doesn't pull off the needle. And that just makes it easier for kids, because it can get quite frustrating for kids when their thread keeps pulling off their needle. So this is just a chenille 24. I use the chenilles because of that nice wide eye, which makes threading needles for kids much easier. Okay, now I'm just going to do the overstitch. So it's basically just starting at the end. If you want, you can do 2 stitches at the beginning just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I just get the kids always to pull their thread over to the back. And I always tell them they're always going from back to front. Daisy. Okay, we're getting to the end of our overstitch, and when we get to the end, I just get the kids, whoops, the daisy, threads knotting up a little bit.
give it a little tug and straighten the thread out. When I get to the end, I just get the kids, to make sure the thread is nice and secure, to do a double stitch, which is just a stitch on top of the other, or just take the thread back and do a couple of over stitches backwards, or I just tell them they're going in reverse for a little bit. Okay, let's get the kids then to snip their thread. And they just flatten it out like that. Of course, if you want, you can just get an iron and iron it out so it's nice and flat. So you can either finger flat it out like that, or you can iron it, and then we're ready now for the next part of the sewing. And now I'm going to show you how to sew the front of Millicent's face on. It's like you got your eyes, mouth, and her belly button. Of course, you could glue them on if you want, but I'm just going to show you one way of sewing them on. So I've got little eyes here, so I'm just sort of placing them where I want. I'm using for this, I'm going to use a embroidery thread. I'm not doubling it over this time because it's quite thick, and I'm just going to put a knot in the end. If you want to work out or find out different ways of showing your kids how to tie a knot, I've got a YouTube tutorial for that too. Okay, so there's the knot. Okay, now I've got her iron position, and I'm just going to show you how to do a French knot. So I'm just going to hold her eye, coming up from the back. Oops, something's gone a bit. Okay, there. Okay, so there we go. Just going to wrap my thread around my needle once. You could do it twice if you want to, depending on how big you want your French knot. And then, oops, let's do that again. I'm going to put the point of the needle back in the same hole, or at least very close to it. I'm going to pull that thread tight, hold it down, and take my needle to the back. Sometimes, as you probably know, embroidery threads or threads get a bit curly. Okay, there's my first French knot for the eye. I'm going to place the other eye, position the other eye there. And again, I'm just going to come up from the back. From the back, more or less in the middle for her pupil. Yep. Okay. Twirl the thread around the needle once. Hold the eye down a little bit, and the point of the needle goes back almost in the same place where it came up. Pull that thread tight there, hold it, and a little bit of a tug. And there's Millicent's other eye. Now, I'm going to give Millicent a crooked little mouth. So I'm just going to draw it on. This is a Staedtler Lumicolor permanent pencil. It's a very waxy pencil. It makes drawing on felt really easy, and what's really great about this pencil is it rubs off. So let's give her a crooked little mouth, crooked little zigzag mouth there. Okay, there we go. I think we'll just put one more down there. Okay, now I'm not cutting my thread off, I'm just continuing from where I left off the back of the French knot. Drawing the line just makes it easier for kids sometimes to do the mouth. It's not necessary, but it just sometimes helps kids. Now I'm going to bring my needle back up at the bottom, because if I brought it up back there, the thread would come out. Going down here. Okay, do a little tug. Now, there's her little crooked mouth. Now, as you can see, I've got a little cross-stitch belly button, and I'm going to do that now. Again, I've got plenty of thread left, so I'm just going to go down and do her little cross-stitch belly button. Again, with kids, if you want, you can draw that little cross-stitch to make it easier for them to sew. Otherwise, you just go down, and you can actually just flick your needle across, because if you know where the end of the other stitch is, and go back up there, and you have a cross-stitch belly button. And to end, I just get kids to put their needle through any of the last stitches, the last stitch on their work. There's this little loop here. Get the kids to do it. Not if it doesn't look like it's worked very well, just do the same thing again. Needle under the loop, needle through the loop, and you've got a nice knot. Snip the ends, and now Millicent is ready for the next part of her body. Okay, now we'll finish the front of Millie, so we can pin her or clip her to the back. I'm just going to pin her today, and just make that nice and straight there so it fits. Now I'm going to leave my stuffing gap at the top because I like to fill my softies with a bit of weighting material at the bottom and just stuffing at the top. If you want to use some weighting material, I use these poly pellets, but if you want to use something more organic like rice or lentils, that's fine too. And then I also just put a little bit of stuffing at the top half of Millie, or my softies usually. So this is just ordinary polyester fibre fill. But you can just put all of her with polyester fibre fill or all of her with stuffing. Now, with weighting material. Now, I'm going to do a running stitch around the edge of Millie. Running stitch is a really great stitch to use when you're sewing with kids. It's a really easy stitch to master, and it's really fun, and it's really quick, which is nice. So I've got my chenille needle. I've doubled over the thread and tied the end in a knot, if you can see. Now again, I use sewing thread because I like to double it over, but you can use any thread you want. And when I start sewing with kids, I just start from the middle between the two pieces of felt. Sometimes when you're using sewing thread, that knot is quite small, so it can pull through. So what I get kids to do is I get them to do a double stitch to anchor their thread and make sure that it doesn't pull out. So to do them, I just get them to do a small back stitch to come up more or less where the needle went into the felt. And I'm just going to get them to do another stitch back. And now they're ready to do their running stitch by leaving a small 1/4 inch gap between the end of the last stitch. Now, when I get kids to do running stitch, I always get them just to go down and up. I don't get them taking there's that curly thread. If that happens, just give it a little bit of a tug. I don't get them to take their needle to the back, because what happens, kids get lost and are not quite sure where to go, and they'll sometimes go around the edge or too far away. So it's always just down and up. You can, if you want, draw a sewing line for kids with your pencil or marking pencil to help them. If kids are having a bit of trouble, you can also just lay their softie flat on the table, and when they tell kids when they feel the needle touch the table, they just want to flick it up, and they can keep on going. So it's always just down and up. Okay, we're nearly at the ready to stuff our little softie. So I'm just going to take pins out of Millie and I'm going to put a little bit of my poly pellets in her. So I've just got this funnel, just helps a little bit. Here are my poly pellets, and I want to, half fill Millie with poly pellets. Need to give your funnel a little bit of shake to get them all down. Okay, let's just have a look. No, I think I'm going to add a bit more, not quite enough poly pellets. I think I'll give her a bit more. Put in another little scoop and see how we go. Okay. Okay, let's have a look. Yep, I'm going to push those pellets down a little bit. Oops, sorry. There we go. So that's looking nice and squishy. Perfect. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of polyester fibre fill. Don't forget when, got to just remind kids to just put little bits of polyester fibre fill in. If they use big wads, what happens is it makes their softie really lumpy. And just push it right in down the edges. Millie starts to get much happier when she gets all her stuffing inside of her. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, I just put her down just a bit more stuffing. Okay, I think she's looking pretty good. Now I'm just going to pin the stuffing gap closed so it's easier to sew. So just put the pin there, and I'm going to go around the edge again, just with a running stitch again. Oops. If the pin gets in the way, just take it out. Thread sometimes will get caught on the pin. Now if you want, when you've got that last little bit, you can just check if you want to add a little bit more stuffing to her, or if you think it's fine. I think she's good, so I'm not going to worry. So when you finish, when kids are finished, I also get them to do a little double stitch just to end their thread. Just an easy way for kids to end off their sewing without tying a knot. Okay, so here we go, this is the last stitch. So I'm just going to get the kids to do their stitch. And just like we started, I'm going to get them to go back with a back stitch and forwards. And now I'm going to just take the needle. Now I'm going to get them actually to take it to the back. And just to lose the thread, so you don't have to tie it, I'm just going to put it into that last part of the stitch and just take it through the stuffing. And it's just, except when it gets caught on her ear, here. Take it and snip it. Okay, there now. Turn Millie over and you're just ready to snip. So when I get the kids to snip, I get them to snip in the middle. And you don't want to make your fringes too small, so I'm just going to do 3 little fringes now because the felt will tend to break off. Turn her around. Oops, go in the middle. Nearly forgot myself. Just going to divide this into little thirds, so 2 little snips. And there you have Millie's all ready for your Halloween party. Now Millie might be a monster, but she's a little girl and she always loves to look her best. So Millie actually loves my sewing clips as her hair accessories. She actually thinks it makes her look very, very sweet. Now, if your sewing clips go missing, you know where to live. Look, you know where to look. Now, monsters also like to live in families, so I'd like to introduce you to Millie's little family. There's hubby Julius and their little bub JJ. Now, if you have any questions, please ask in the comments. I've got lots of videos over on my YouTube channel, Sew with Softy, and lots more free tutorials at sewwithsofty.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.